Is a Ssang Yong Kyron a jungle for intrepid explorers or a well-explored tourist attraction? The conclusions are up to you. About 5 years ago, when the first Kyrons began their life journey in the vastness of Russia, the owners more than once got a reason for frustration, because they were congratulated on the purchase of a Chinese. And don't go to a fortune teller. It was very unpleasant to hear this about a Korean who was related to Mercedes itself. We will not particularly expand on the topic of German-Korean friendship, since we could not find information that can be trusted 100%. Although Ssang Yong dealers claim that the main units are licensed from Mercedes-Benz. At its core, the Kyron is the ideal of the Wasi frame, with a 2-stage transfer case, a very extensive power accessories and a comfortable interior. Not to mention the diesel engine and automatic transmission, and the relatively low price of new copies, which was at one time, especially after the model began to be assembled in Russia at the end of 2007. But every coin has two sides, so let's look at its circulation. Until 2008, the Kyron was offered with a single engine. It was a 2-liter common rail turbocharged diesel engine that developed a maximum power of 141 horsepower with. For a large 4-wheel drive car, the ratio of engine volume to mass, which is a liter per ton, is somehow not enough. I wonder, therefore, or for some other reason, the motor has a number of characteristic sources. First of all, they are associated with fuel equipment, despite the fact that, on the whole, it digests domestic diesel fuel well. Alas, among the ordinary operations is the replacement of very expensive pump injectors. With a run exceeding 100,000 kilometers, various troubles with the turbine are quite likely. Also, this motor is known for one dirty trick. Replacing glow plugs can easily end up completely different from what the mechanic intended. One piece of the candle will remain in his hands, and the other will sadly stick out of the cylinder block. The cause of a burning check on the dashboard is usually contamination or failure of the EGR system. However, it is realistic to make it to the service under its own power with this breakdown, and issues with it were resolved under the guarantee. There is also a 2.7-liter turbo diesel, 163 horsepower, in the catalogs, but it was not possible to find this engine on used copies offered for sale. Along with the updated appearance, which is primarily noticeable in the new optics, front and rear, reshaped headlights and bumpers, the second generation of Kyron has got a gasoline engine, the good old Mercedes 2.3-liter unit in a derated version with a capacity of 150 horsepower with. Nothing bad is known about him. With any engine, it is possible to combine both a 5-speed manual gearbox and an automatic, of which there were several versions, including a modern 6-speed automatic transmission with manual shifting. The mechanical box is a steadfast tin soldier. As for the machines, their weak link is the control electronics. All-wheel drive transmission part-time 4WD traditional, rigidly connected front axle, downshift in the transfer case, optional rear limited slip differential. In terms of reliability, these units still show themselves on the good side, with the exception of one of the versions of the rear gearbox of the first years of production. Seal leaks at low mileage are not typical. However, the transmission cannot be called completely problem-free. There may be malfunctions in the system for connecting the front axle and switching modes of the transfer case. However, usually these issues are resolved with little bloodshed. In the steering, fluid leaks from burst pipes or a reservoir sometimes led to pump breakdowns. The steering tips on the cars of the first years of production proved to be not particularly durable. Later they were changed to more durable ones. There are no complaints about the brake system, except for the sour parking brake cable. In an independent front suspension, the most serious problem is the breakdown of the ball joint of the lower arm, and in cars with low mileage of 30 to 50,000 kilometers, surely you have seen a similar tragic picture more than once at the Ziguli. This is when the front wheel breaks under the body. As the owners said, the tragedy was preceded by a loud creak. When there were enough such cases, the manufacturer began producing a reinforced ball joint. The rear suspension is spring-loaded with a conventional continuous axle beam mounted on trailing arms. The resource of this node is indefinitely large. Even a schoolboy knows, the more complex the design, the greater the likelihood of failures in its operation. And Kyron is not deprived of any comfort and safety systems, especially in expensive trim levels. Here is the stabilization system, and rain/light sensors, and a self-dimming rear-view mirror, and electric seats, and heated wiper zones, etc. It is difficult to find systemic faults in all this wealth, but if you try, it will be climate control. Either it causes irritation with the inadequacy of work, or, worse, problems with the control unit. You ask, is Kyron really another illustration on the topic, cheap is not good? No, of course, many owners appear at service stations only for maintenance and do not know any problems. But there are others.